Julius awoke to the subtle illumination of the April morning sun filtering through the thin curtains in his modest bedroom. The year was 1912, a time when hope was often mixed with uncertainty. As he lay in bed, his eyes were drawn to the small wooden trunk that housed his few belongings. On top of it lay a third-class ticket for the Titanic, the majestic liner that promised a new beginning across the Atlantic. Julius's fingers were rough and calloused from years of labor, betraying a life of hard work and determination. He reached over to the bedside table and retrieved his pocket watch, its bronze surface slightly tarnished by time. The hands pointed firmly to 6 a.m. The world outside was already awake. The rhythmic clattering of horse-drawn carriages echoed from the cobblestone street, mingled with the lively chatter of early risers. The air was crisp, carrying with it the aroma of freshly brewed coffee, wafting from the bustling kitchen downstairs. Julius dressed in his simplest attire, clothes of limited fare but stitched with threads of hope. Next to his bed hung a faded family portrait, capturing the eyes of ancestors whose own stories were etched with struggle and sacrifice. His heart quickened with every glance at the ticket, a symbol of his dreams and fears, encased in a thin envelope. He envisioned the grandeur of the Titanic, feeling a mix of trepidation and excitement at the journey ahead. As he descended the creaky stairs, Julius grasped the railing with hands that carried more than suitcases. They bore the weight of anticipation. He glanced back at the room, a silent nod to the life he was leaving. Hours later, Julius stood in awe at the bustling port. The colossal frame of the Titanic towered over him, a marvel of modern engineering. The air was filled with the sounds of machinery, voices of passengers exchanging last-minute goodbyes, and the sharp whistles of steam. With ticket in hand, Julius navigated the throng of people, his heart beating in sync with the excitement around him. The cold iron of the ship's railing was reassuringly solid under his fingers, grounding him in the moment. As he climbed the gangway, Julius couldn't help but feel a part of something monumental. The Titanic was not just a vessel. It was a promise of what could be, of dreams yet to be realized. When the massive ship finally set sail, Julius leaned over the side, watching as the churning waters eagerly embraced the bow. The world seemed to shrink behind them, the shore gradually disappearing into a memory. But fate was not in their favor. On a fateful night, Julius was jarred from his sleep by a thunderous crash. The entire ship shivered, and his cabin was suddenly filled with a biting cold. Panic surged through the corridors as the passengers were roused into a chaos of fear and disbelief. Clutching a small oil lamp, Julius navigated the narrow passageways, his breath visible in the frigid air. The Titanic was wounded, a leviathan struggling against its untimely end. Above deck, despair rippled through the crowd. Julius found himself amidst the urgent cries and the dim glow of hope in the form of lifeboats. He held tightly to a young child, instinctively offering comfort and protection amidst the pandemonium. The night was a haunting symphony of screams, prayers, and the melancholic strains of "Nearer, My God, to Thee." The moon cast a solemn glow over the chaos as the mighty ship succumbed to the ocean's claim. Julius eventually found himself in the icy waters, clinging to a wooden door. His body shook from the cold, each icy wave a reminder of the fragility of life. The Titanic was nothing but a silhouette now, fading into the abyss. Hours later, hope arrived in the form of the Carpathia's twinkling lights, signaling salvation. Strong arms pulled him from the brink of despair into a lifeboat filled with spectral faces, each wrapped in the thin warmth of a blanket and the thicker presence of survival. Years dissolved into decades. In the quiet solitude of his later years, Julius's hands, now weathered by age, held a single photograph of the Titanic. The image was a bridge to a past that never truly released its grip on his soul. And as he sat in the pale light of his living room, the finality of his story inscribed in both the lines of his face and the caption beneath the photograph, "I survived, but never escaped."